think music comes from God. I think music is the purest connection that at least I can have with God. I grew up in Israel with an aunt that lives in Jerusalem. And so as a child, I spent a lot of time in the old city of Jerusalem where there are many different religions coexisting. And I got to know different people from different religions, and somehow it permeated in me that we're all really the same. It's one God, and it doesn't really matter what name you give God, it's still the same one God. And it's all based on the Old Testament. So it never really bothered me, the differences between the religions. I have been coming to this church, Trinity Lutheran Church in Astoria, Queens, for 20 years now. And everybody has been so nice to me, and nobody ever tried to convert me or change me. And I find that it is possible to conduct oneself according to Christian principles without actually being Christian. So I think I leave dogmas to others. Natalia, but everyone calls me Saw Lady because I play the musical Saw. The reason why I play music is actually a combination of reasons. The first reason, I guess, is because I feel like I must. I cannot not play music. It's so much a part of me. It's my world. It's my life. And when I don't feel music, I don't feel well. So it's kind of like an addiction. But beside that, for me, it is very important to have music as a tool for communication. It's almost as if the music is but an excuse for me to meet people and exchange information and views and life with people. Also, for me, music is kind of like a prayer. I can get lost in it in the same way as people feel when they pray, and it's a connection to a higher power, and it's inspirational. The reason why I play in the street or in the subway is because I choose to. A lot of people erroneously think that people who play in the subway have to play there because they're homeless, because they cannot find a job, because they're not good enough to play elsewhere. It is so not true. I know a lot of the people who play in the subway, and none of them have to play in the subway. We choose to play in the subway because it's a totally different experience than playing on stage. When I play on stage, usually there's lights shining on me and the audience is down there in the dark, so I don't really see the audience. I feel as if there's a separation. There's like an invisible wall between me and the audience. Whereas when I'm in the subway, the people are right there. I see their faces. I see the transformation on their face as they walk by me and they catch a glimpse of the sound. People come and talk to me. They ask me questions. They interact. And there is such an exchange of energy that it's uplifting and it's addictive. I think that even if I got to be a millionaire, I would still want to play in the subway. One day, I walked into a coffee place down in the village, and I was waiting for somebody, and this man came over to me, and he said to me, "You're the soul lady, right? You play in the subway." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I would like to tell you something. I would like to thank you." And I was like, "Why are you thanking me?" And he said, "A few months ago, I was fired from my job and nothing was working in my life, and I was feeling really bad. I was depressed, and I was even thinking of maybe ending it all. And I happened to walk into the subway at 59th Street in Lexington, and on the platform across from me, you were playing. And I just stood there for a while, and your music just changed my life," he said. And he said that he left the subway station not wanting to end it all. And I was very, very moved. I didn't even see him. He was across the tracks from me. And so I gave him my card, and a while later his wife emailed me and said to me that this is true, this is what happened, and she was very grateful that my presence was right there at the right time. And I just felt like, wow, I felt like I was, in a way, a messenger, meaning I was there in the right time and the right place for this person that I didn't even know. And I don't even know what it was that I did that touched him. But to be able to share such moments with the public in such a big city as New York City, I cannot think of anything grander to do. I didn't really choose to play the instruments that I play. I feel as if they chose me, because I didn't go out in search of unusual musical instruments, not at all. When I was little, like many children, I started by playing recorder. Then at age 6, my mother taught me to play piano. I took some guitar in elementary school, but I sang in choirs. But then I kind of left music and I went and became a dancer. And what happened was I was a trainee with the Martha Graham Dance Company, and one day I was coming back from Lincoln Center. I was crossing the street and I was hit by a car, and that put an end to my dance career. So of course I was climbing the wall trying to figure out what to do with my life. I was devastated because everything that I planned for all of a sudden was taken from me, and I did not know what to do. I tried different things, but nothing really filled the void in me. So my parents wanted to cheer me up, and they took me on a trip to Austria. Why Austria? Because when I was a child, my favorite movie was The Sound of Music, and it was filmed in Austria. So my parents thought that it was cheer me up, and they were right, it did cheer me up. But what happened while we were there is we went to see a show for tourists, and part of the show was a man playing a saw. And I've never seen such a thing before. And I was mesmerized, of course, by the ethereal, angelic sound that is so different from anything else I've heard before, but also by the visual. And when I say the visual, I don't mean the fact that it's a saw, that it's a tool, and it's weird that a tool makes sounds, not that. But the fact that It's one of the only instruments that when you play it, the entire instrument moves and makes wave-like shapes in the air. Because if you think of any other instrument where you use a bow, like a cello, a violin, the bow moves, but the body of the instrument doesn't move. But with the saw, the entire thing is continuously in motion, and it's very much like dance. So that is what attracted me to this instrument. At that same trip to Austria, I noticed that there are a lot of cow herds in the meadows, and each cow has a bell. And as we were driving, I noticed that the sound of the bell is not the same from field to field. And so I said to my father, kind of like as a joke, if we collect different bells and each bell has a different pitch, then we can play music on it. So my father and I went to all the different stores and we bought like 8 bells, and each one with a different pitch, and we collected an octave, and in the hotel I tried to play Happy Birthday to You on it, and it worked. So that was my beginning love affair with bells. It is true that the sound of bells and the sound of the saw, there is something very spiritual about that sound. I think it's the vibrations. I think it has more vibrations than any other instrument. There's just something magical about so much vibration. I think it's like it penetrates the body, and it's like a sonic massage, and I think that is why it has such a calming effect. One time I was playing at Times Square, and there were some people gathered around me. On the right of me was a gentleman who was blind. He had a cane like blind people have, and he couldn't see, but he could hear. And on the other side, amongst the crowd, was a lady who had nothing to do with the blind man. And she noticed how the blind man's face lit up as he was listening to the music. It was clear that he was really enjoying it and into it. So this lady, a complete stranger, came over to me. She purchased one of my CDs. She went to the blind man. She put the CD in his hand, and she said to him, "This is the music that you're now hearing. This is for you." And I just felt like, wow, this was such a grand gesture on her part. She, as a total stranger, she didn't have to do this. She spent her own money just because she saw how much he was enjoying the music, and she wanted to continue the joy for him. And I just thought, wow, just wow. Jesus for me was an incredible man who was forward-thinking and way ahead of his time. I think that if I lived back in the time of Jesus, I would probably be one of his disciples. I would probably be a competition for Mary Magdalene. But I find Jesus to be inspirational. And he's all about love, which is exactly what this world needs.